Thank you. Hey everybody, Hazel here. I hope you know that you are amazing. Also amazing being here with all of you. This is incredibly amazing. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you so much to Jared and the Westport Presbyterian leadership for inviting me. Thank you for staying put as a pink-haired trans girl steps up to the podium. This cannot happen very often, right? Whether it's here in this building or across this city or in cities like this across the country or the world, someone like me stepping into a place like this with all that's happening in the world is unique, like me. Thank you again for this opportunity. By the way, I love this so much. This is truly what I live for. This is what enthusiasm looks like. All of this. As long as breath is going in and out of my body, I will live as enthusiastically as I possibly can and love every single piece of it. I love my name, Hazel Krebs. I love my pronouns, which are she, her, by the way. I love my job title, author and speaker. I love my goal of inspiring the world to live enthusiastically. I love my kids who are joining us today. Of course, I love them as a mother should. Plus, I love spending time with them. As my children are my two most favorite people, I try to tell them that often. I love that we are going to Chicago in a week for our first real vacation since our separation. I love the relationship I have with my former spouse, who, through my journey, has meant so much. I love how many people know me and call me friend. Pretty much everywhere I go, I recognize someone. In fact, when I walked in here, I recognized someone. I love these connections. I love getting to know people. I love my career journey, going on 3 years now when I first dedicated my life to living enthusiastically. I published my first book in January of 2024 entitled Enthusiastically-me. I love my story of discovering a life I'm enthusiastic to live. Get used to that. I love speaking my messages to audiences anywhere and everywhere, including several churches now. I love that places like this exist. Thank you for being one of them. I love that I've lost count of how many interviews I've done, whether that's the television news a handful of times, newspapers, online publication, or countless podcasts. In fact, another podcast is due out in a few days or any time now, along with the guest blog post I wrote. Note to self, check for those later, so I can share on social media. I love my growing social media influence, where my message resonates with those who follow me and those who discover me. I love so much the feedback I hear from people. Every single day I hear it. People tell me they love my message, my positivity, my joy, my enthusiasm. I love how people tell me they seek out my social media when they want to smile, whether they're having a bad day, a hard moment, or whatever it is. I love so much that people are happy because of what I do. I love what I'm doing every moment of every day. I love this life I have. Every single piece is placed perfectly in pursuit of this enthusiastic life I want for myself. And guess what? It's so much fun. The best part, the pursuit of the life I'm enthusiastic to live, never ends. In fact, I'm still discovering parts of me that I love, such as I'm vegan now as of a couple months ago. What started as being vegan with my boyfriend ended up as me being vegan as a single woman. I love both of those parts of me too. Sorry, ex-boyfriend, I do love being single. Yet, the preeminent part of the life I am creating is pursuing my purpose for this life, the central, most important purpose for which I have this physical form in this space and this time I am sharing with all of you. So, we can agree there's numerous ideas of what happens in the afterlife. I have no idea. Instead, I will focus on the time we are here. Before that, the time we are here together, for the finite amount of time which we call life. I have a theory on why we are here, a theory on the purpose of life. You ready? The purpose of life is to live. That's it. The purpose of life is to live. The purpose of this physical existence with every one of you amazing and wonderful people is to live and to share this physical existence with every one of you amazing and wonderful people. This is the purpose of life. It's happening right here. The experiences we have, whether alone or with others, the achievements we reach, the achievements we celebrate with others, goals, highlights, lowlights, there will be some, the array of emotions, all of which are valid, growing older, growing wiser, reclaiming our youth, laughing. One of my favorite parts of life is laughing, which I do so much. Fun story. 2 years after I transitioned, so about 2 years ago, I had to remove certain people from my life. I want to keep this happy, so I'll just skip the details other than it was emotional at the time, consisting of disappointment and sadness towards someone who had been important to me. I sat with the rainbow of emotions, felt all of them, then casually asked my children the differences that they've noticed in me over the 2 years since I transitioned. Keep in mind, these two plus their other mom know my transition better than anyone else. Well, other than me, of course. Their first answer to the question, do you remember? They told me, "You laugh a lot more now." In fact, they barely hesitated before reiterating, "You laugh a lot more now." Of course, I had to laugh at that point, as I tend to do. Later, they added that I used to yell all the time, but now I laugh all the time, causing me to contemplate the situation while I continue to laugh. Here I am, having a profoundly delightful experience with my kids, despite the negatives that were happening around the situation. If I wasn't angry all the time before, it doesn't really work. Or if I wasn't removing someone from my life, we aren't even having the conversation. The joy we had in that moment, so abundant, so rich, so full of the best parts of life, laughing with my two most favorite people, that joy in that form doesn't exist in the absence of the hardships, much like my life. The list I said earlier of all those parts of me that I love, let's call it Hazel's life love list. It might be on a plaque one day. It's thorough, it's extensive, enthusiastic, because of promises I made to myself and all those past versions of me that brought me to this moment. I am so grateful for all those past versions of me who survived their struggles on the journey to this moment. It wasn't easy. Interestingly, I didn't realize how remarkable my life was until I wrote my book and people started to read it. I thought everyone hated themselves for most of their life, because I did. Many of my earliest memories were of me hating myself. I hated being among the boys. Growing up, my younger brother and I were grouped together as the boys, such as, "Where are the boys? Go get the boys for dinner." I remember hating that, hating being part of that word. Yet I hated my name as well, so that wasn't a great alternative. Let's just pause a moment to recap. So this was when I was 8 or 9 years old. I know it was 8 or 9 because we moved from the house at 9 years old, and I remember thinking these thoughts in my old house. So at 8 or 9, 30 years, 3 decades before I realized I'm transgender, I hated my name and my gender. These are very trans experiences. Yet, I didn't have words for it. Nor did I see anyone like me. Nor did I feel safe talking about it. Therefore, I started to withdraw. I started to hate myself in every single piece of my life. I hated not fitting in with anyone. I hated the pressure to conform. I hated the pressure to be straight. I hated that my first crush was a boy in my choir class. I hated to sing, but I liked him. I hated the stress of knowing someone could find out. I hated the danger in my life, particularly the headlines about Matthew Shepard, who was just a few years older than me. I hated the shame of trying to ask questions about my sexuality, only to be told, we don't talk about that kind of stuff. I hate that comment, which I remember so clearly, set me down a path of pretending to be someone I'm not, to fit into places I don't. I hate pretending that I was okay. I hated how lonely I was, even with 5 siblings and pursuing romantic relationships endlessly. I was alone. I hated that I drank and drugged to cope, rather than deal with the loneliness. I hated that I was losing control. Despite multiple college degrees, a boring corporate job with benefits, paying me enough money to support a spouse to stay home with my young kids, I hated this meant I was successful, with the quotes, when in reality, I hated my life every single day. I hated drinking to black out every single night. I hated the agony of waking up in the morning, avoiding my reflection in the mirror. I hated how my body was breaking down from the stress of my life, mixing with the stress of my drinking in a downward spiral. It was bad enough my former spouse tricked me into therapy. Perhaps a story for another day. I hate that I reached the point that I made a plan to end my life. There are some words about that day from my book that I want to share. Our original focus for therapy was my drinking, yet the root of all my issues lived deeper, down to the core of who I am, my childhood self. My therapist suggests I try searching for that child within me, but sadly, I cannot find anything or anyone. Where or who is that kid? My therapist suggests I parent that child, but who is capable within me to do the parenting? Neither of us want to be found because neither of us like who we are, dating back to the earliest memories of hiding my authentic self. After only a few weeks in therapy, I began to wonder if my entire life had been a lie, essentially concocted in the brain of an 8-year-old kid too afraid to be myself. I've never been in control of my life. Rather, it's the world dictating how I should be happy. I hated that I was never happy. But I survived. Not only that day, but all the days henceforth, to the most pivotal day, most pivotal moment of my life, March 9th, 2021, the day I found my name. From that day on, I could start to put behind me all the hate I felt about myself and my life, and finally start living authentically, and finally start loving myself, holding gratitude for those past versions of me who brought me there, always keeping the promise that ends my book. For you, I promise to live the fullest life possible, cherishing each day. Because of you, I will always be enthusiastically me, Hazel. The enthusiasm I have for my life is enhanced by the pain I felt as a child when I started to hate all those parts of me. That was a miserable existence. I hope that's clear. Thus, by comparison, this life in this world isn't so bad. Remember Hazel's list of love list? Those exist every single day. Even with all that's going on in this world, which seems to compound, if not every day, every week, it's becoming more dangerous, that is for sure. I considered finding some statistics to show you about how bad it's getting, but you can do that if you like, but know that statistics, they're getting worse. So anything old is not as bad as it is right now. So instead, I will share a sampling of my experiences that I have going about the day. First and foremost, I notice how often I walk into a room and I'm the only one who looks like me. In fact, I expect to be the only one. I am shocked when I'm not. I love when I share space with my transgender siblings, wherever you may be. For those who are in the majority, keep in mind, I used to blend in with you, feel safe with you. You have no idea what it's like. There's no possible comparison I can make to bridge the gap between your experience in the majority and the experience being marginalized. So when a marginalized person shares their experience, just believe them, as you don't have the feeling of being different, nor the experience of laws restricting your life. That's been happening to me for years. Whether in Kansas, where I live, or here in Missouri, where I spend more time, or on the national level. What many people don't realize, all those restrictions in the news at the national level, Kansas and or Missouri has passed many of them. Thus, I've already grown accustomed to being discriminated against by any level of government. As I watch the news, I see my life, my mental health, my ability to simply exist be used to fan political flames in pursuit of votes or donations. They don't care how much they hurt us or how many of us die, as long as they keep getting headlines. We are dispensable to them. It's not just one party, by the way, but that's it for politics. I'm done. In Kansas and Missouri, my community continues to shrink. Thankfully, because some of them are moving away to find safer places. I am happy for all of them, as the stress is absurd and the stress is relentless. Around the Kansas City metro, I feel safe here, but as I venture outside of 435 or north of the river, just know I have a reason to go there. I don't go outside the city unless I have to, mostly because it's dangerous. I could be killed for using a public restroom. I have this thought every time I use a bathroom. After I wash my hands, I pause before I go out the door. I take a deep breath and hope no one is out there ready to hurt me, or worse. I'm convinced that's how I die. However, life doesn't frighten me at all. Like the poem we read earlier by one of my favorite historical figures, Maya Angelou. Thank you, Jared, and thank you everyone for being a part of that. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Not at all. Not at all. Life doesn't frighten me at all. I've grown to accept my death as inevitable. Around my birthday in mid-February, as I updated my life insurance and will, because this is the world we live in. It was long overdue, by the way. I had to make some big changes, including my name. Added Hazel to my life insurance, which that's a part of my life I love. Going from married to single, again, another part of my life I love. All the updates to ensure that my kids get the money after I die. My kids, my two most favorite people. They'll benefit from the changes I'm making. It's immensely peculiar feeling, finding joy, thinking about my death. Yet there I was, feeling more free than I've ever felt before, appreciating my journey more than ever before, because I survived all of it to make these updates. Had I been successful in 2018, the life insurance would have paid out, my kids would have grieved, and probably moved on at this point, perhaps with a step-parent to step in their lives. Maybe one who didn't yell as much. Because remember, the laughing part came after. Yet there I was, updating my name to reflect who I am, as me, as my authentic self, knowing confidently I would rather die living authentically than compromise just to survive. There's no doubt in my mind about this. I've already compromised. I compromised all of myself just to survive, and I hated all of it. That is no way to live. Life doesn't frighten me at all. By updating my will, I felt free to express myself more loudly. Why not? I have a pretty fun message. Positivity, joy, and happiness. We can always use more of it. What I put out in the world, I get back to me. I am creating the life that I want to live as long as I possibly can. I have no idea when this life ends, but I know for certain I will live enthusiastically every single moment, keeping the promise I made to myself. Life doesn't frighten me at all. By updating my will, I felt free to be more visible, take on the ire of so many people. All the hate comments I get on my social media, to which I laugh. I tend to do that, but I just don't care what those people think. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Meanwhile, they seem to care a lot about me. Go figure. Nothing they can do will hurt me, as it's nothing like the pain that I felt as a child who was so alone. Being more visible is my gift to 8-year-old Hazel, who was so lost, so confused, so scared, so alone. I cannot save that child within me. However, together, we can save others from going down that path. Transgender or not, we all make choices to live authentically or conform. We can choose to live enthusiastically or apathetically. We can strive for the life that we love to live, or we can settle on the life that is given to us. By updating my will, I felt free to cherish my life even more, appreciate every day down to every single moment, including this moment right here. I'm endlessly grateful for this moment. This moment is the intersection of our past and our future. Everything in your past has brought you to this moment. Everything in your future relies on this moment. In other words, our entire life exists in this moment. Please cherish this life you have, every single moment. Live as authentically as you know, every single moment. Enjoy the journey your life takes, every single moment. And be enthusiastically you, every single moment. Thank you so much.